Coach Zach with Silver Bullet Fitness, coming to you yet again with another video out of my office at Anytime Fitness in South Florida. Listen, today I am talking to you about the dieting cycle, okay? And I want you to know that we've launched our nutrition program over at silverbulletfitness.me, where you can actually book with me for a consultation, a free consultation, where we're gonna go over your nutrition and your nutritional strategies and find a way to kickstart your weight loss journey, okay? Or your body recomposition journey. Either way, I wanna see you as healthy as technically possible, and now we've launched that service on our website, okay? So today I wanna talk to you about the dieting cycle, and if any of this resonates with you, I want you to leave a comment, subscribe, like, all that, all those good things. Because I can tell you that if it doesn't resonate with you specifically, you've probably heard it from somebody else as well. And just watch, you probably have. So the dieting cycle always starts with a strong desire to change, okay? And that's usually where it starts. Somebody has some feeling as to what they want to change or that they need to change. So it can be some form of fat phobia, it can be the way they looked in a picture, it can be the way they saw themselves one morning, among other things. They could be trying an activity that they did 3 years ago and now all of a sudden it's more difficult to do than it was before. It can be a breakup, it can be all sorts of reasons, but we get a desire to change. And that kind of negative emotion that creates the desire to change masks itself right afterwards into a really positive emotion and a very motivating emotion. And so what we do is we take that desire to change and we jump into restricted food intake and we restrict our variety as well. So the second we realize, man, I need to make a change and I really want to make a change, we take all of that energy, all that powerful energy, and we start doing research. How am I going to lose this weight, right? And a lot of times you're either going to have to do the research or you're just going to rely on the things that you already know, the colloquial things that we know. Eat more veggies, drink more water, eat more fruits, the colloquial things that we know that we've heard hundreds of times, right? Sometimes we even dread thinking about those things, like eating salads every day or whatever it is that we do. But in today's information age, we usually take that and we start researching. We start Googling. What's the best weight loss diet? So boom, Mediterranean, keto, carnivore, high carbs, Ginny Craig, heaven forbid Ozempic, HelloFresh, all of these different options and which one is the right one for me. Then other times you'll find simple answers like just restrict your calories and move more and drink more water. And technically all of them are right, which is what makes it so difficult because they're all right. So which one is the one to choose? So we choose one, boom, Mediterranean. So we restrict our food intake and we restrict our variety. We get right down on that. And what happens is when we make that immediate jump and we reduce all of our calories or reduce a lot of our calories, and we reduce some of the foods that have been sitting in our repertoire for a while, we end up crashing. And so we take that good energy and we put it into the restricting food, and all of a sudden now we start to get ourselves into an energy and hormonal depletion. And so a lot of the times when people crash diet, or they make these radical changes right away without a clear foundation, so without tracking, without being specific to the number, they end up in an energy and a hormonal depletion. I'm trying this new diet and I'm just so tired all the time and I'm a little depressed and so on. These things happen because one of the major components to eating is actually the way our hormones react to food. And so, not to get super sciencey, but every time you eat something, it's providing you with different brain chemicals, if you will. The sweets can do that very heavily. They make you feel nice and loved, and they make you feel nice and happy. And some other foods can give you a feeling of energy, or they can make you feel satisfied. But when we change our food palette just right away, really, really aggressively, we can start to get into that hormonal depletion, which makes us feel lethargic, depressed, sad, and all other things as well. The energy less so because, sometimes, and I'm sure you're out there, you've worked a 16-hour shift without eating anything. You managed to get through all the way fine with your energy. So a lot of it really does come down to the hormonal depletion. So what happens is after that hormonal depletion takes place, our brain starts to tell us, hey, we need to refill those hormones. This isn't good. This doesn't feel good. And that's when that sadness, or that's when that kind of despair or those feelings come about. Not to get all dramatic, but they do come about when you are no longer enjoying the things you love, and now it's amplified 20 times, 30 times. And so what happens is, in that cycle, we go into cravings and urges. And once we hit cravings and urges, we all know how that feels. You're sitting there, you're looking at this bowl of salad, or whatever it is that you're eating, and you know exactly what you want, but you're stuck there eating that. It's not a great feeling. It's really a horrible feeling. And again, you've probably heard people go through this before. Get those cravings and urges, and again, because all those hormones are begging to come back. It's not even the energy as much as it's those hormones begging to come back, the dopamine from eating foods that you like. And then boom, we break our diet, we cave, we give in, we binge, and immediately that is followed by shame, guilt, and defeatism. And that is the dieting cycle. And oftentimes in that shame, guilt, and defeatism, which will eventually hit a desire to change again, we take that one thing that we tried, that Mediterranean that I used before, and now we say things like, I tried the Mediterranean, but it didn't work for me. I tried restricting my calories, but it didn't work for me. I've tried this, I've tried this, I've tried this, it doesn't work for me. And so we start to get in this self-defeatism loop that we're reinforcing our inability to achieve what we want to achieve. And it's not because we don't have the willpower, it's because we just don't have the structure or the information. And that's the truth. Willpower plays a part in it later because there is elements of needing to be structured and working within that structure with willpower. But when you're just going at it kind of, direct this way, willpower plays such less of a role in it than you think. But I'm sure you've heard success stories too. I just started doing blank and I lost all this weight. Now I'm really good at discipline and maintaining, but not everybody is. Not when they're doing it just like this. Not counting genetics and all the other things that play into it. So today, what I'm gonna do is I've broken down the dieting cycle. And if this sounds familiar to you at all, and I'm serious, like any person that has ever spoken to you about it, whether they're saying, again, the exact same words, like, oh, I really need to lose 20 pounds, and, I've decided to go on this thing, and then you check up on them a couple months later, and they're like, yeah, I tried, it didn't work, and I was having a hard time with this, and that's all perfectly fine, because it's a lack of structure, it's a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of understanding the big macro picture, the big picture on weight loss, the big picture on bringing the weight down, the body fat down, and understand that things also take time. This is a short cycle, and it feels very short, especially when you get into this portion right here. In reality, this takes time. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna actually flip over to another whiteboard, and I'm going to show you how I do it over at Silver Bullet Fitness, how I'm going to help you get your nutrition under control, help you lose the weight you want to, and achieve the body that you've been dreaming of for a long time. And I'm going to redirect you to the website so that you can book with me today. Okay, so instead of doing the dieting cycle, here's what I believe to be is the most efficient way to lose the body fat you're trying to lose, get down to the weight you're trying to be at, and also keep it as well. So Silver Bullet Fitness, what I'm offering you and the method I'm going to use is we're gonna do phases of nutrition, okay? So it's basically a 4 to 5 step process for nutrition that has the most results that I've found with all of my clients, and now I want to bring it to you, all right? And so the reason why this is better and different than a dieter cycle is because we take steps to make sure that we are ensuring that you're not going to fall into the same pitfalls and the same traps that normally happen with the kind of ambiguity of what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, and so on, right? And also we try to control those urges and those cravings by working with you to teach you how to understand what you're capable of eating and what you're not in your allotment, okay? So the first phase is metabolic priming, okay? And what metabolic priming looks like is that's when we establish a behavior change, right? So like in the dieter cycle, that's when you've got that desire change that you're looking to accomplish. Well, the metabolic priming phase is when we take that change and we put action to it, okay? So what we're gonna do then is we're going to we're gonna actually increase your calories, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna increase your calories. We're gonna focus really heavily on your macros, and we're gonna get you to understand how to track your food efficiently and effectively, all right? On top of that, we're gonna clean up the nutrition. So the first metabolic priming phase seems like a little bit counterintuitive to people. Like, you want me to increase my calories, but we're trying to lose weight. Well, here's the reality. Most people don't eat enough. And you'd say, well, if they're not eating enough, then how are they not losing weight? Well, the body requires a set of energy and an amount of calories in your body, amount of energy to function at its highest peak. It's like a business, right? If you've got a business that's filled with overworked and underpaid employees, they're simply not going to do as good of a job as if they are fed well, if they're fed well and taken care of and given the appreciation like we're trying to do for your body. So by cleaning up the nutrition, introducing good healthy foods into your system, getting you to understand how to eat to the proper ratios of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and increasing your calories, what we're going to do is we're going to prime your metabolism for the next phase, all right? So the next phase is only possible with us going through that first phase. The biggest thing that I see that most people struggle with is specificity, is having the actual amount that is required to reduce. There are ways that people do it with portion control, or they do it with other substitutions, but by being able to look at your macros and your numbers specifically, it allows us to make truly educated decisions on how much lower your calories need to go versus how much higher they need to go. Without that, we're poking around in the dark, and when we're poking around in the dark, it's real hit or miss, right? Now, weight loss is not this process. It's not a perfectly linear down process. It is a lot of this process right here. And it takes time too, because your body is going to go through stages. So it's important to look at this from a macro long-term perspective, okay? The dieter cycle is a short-term perspective, which is why it doesn't work very well. This is a long-term perspective, somewhere upwards of a year to 2 years, depending on how much weight you've put on, or depending on where your goals are in general. Truth is we have to give some respect to the time that it takes to gain the amount of weight that may be put on. There's also a lot of respect that has to go to the time that it takes to get it off as well. So metabolic priming is how we start. We work with you really closely to make sure that you have the ability to track your food, take control of it, eat the things that you like to eat, minus a few things specifically, of course, and get you on the right track to start the fat loss phase. And the fat loss phase revolves around bringing that calorie count down and getting into your first true deficit. And when we're in our first true deficit, the body's metabolism is still revving, it's still pushing, it's still going, ready to receive and burn all of the extra calories you're giving it. You start to give a little bit less, but it's still burning at that point, right? And so when we go into the fat loss phase, we go into your first deficit, we bring the calories down to a set amount, and we increase the exercise at that point. We really focus on muscle retention during this fat loss phase. So we're kind of recompositioning the body at that time, gaining muscle, losing fat, losing body weight, and we monitor that weight daily, and we also monitor your energy over days and weeks' time to make sure that you can sustain both the workouts and also the nutritional demands. After that fat loss phase, we go into what they call a reverse diet. Now, this phrase has been thrown around a lot lately, called a reverse diet. In short, what we're doing is we're just gradually bringing your calories back up to where the maintenance calories were, okay? And then going higher than that is what we typically do in a reverse diet. In that process, we are taking away all of maybe those uncomfortable cravings that was coming around during the fat loss phase. We're getting your energy back as well, because you are at a smaller energy deficit when you have the caloric deficit, and we are intensifying the exercise at that point. So restoring your energy to give you the ability to increase your exercises, but then on top of that, also bring those calories back up. And during that process, as we're going instrumentally and incrementally, because the reason why most people fail right here is they binge all those calories back up, which is very similar to the dieting cycle, is as that gradually goes up, we check that weight every single week. We check those body measurements every single week to make sure that as you're going up in calories, your scale weight is not necessarily increasing in a way that does not reflect the current muscle definition or the improvements that we've made to our body. And this is really an important stage here because it restores the confidence that you have in eating your food and enjoying your food while also being able to see the positive change, okay? Then we go into the lifestyle phase. And the lifestyle phase is a phase in which we kind of take off some of the restrictiveness. We kind of get you at a new set point for your body, for your insulin, for your fat. We get you to a new set point, and we see if the body can stabilize around that weight for an extended period of time. This is also a good time to take a break, right? Because these three phases are not always the easiest. It's really funny, actually. Sometimes when you're in a fat loss phase, you get really used to the lower calories, and then when you get asked to eat more, it becomes a little bit tricky. So this is kind of a strenuous portion of the actual phasing. And so the lifestyle phase allows you to kind of live your life again, you know, kind of have a few meals out, do dinner, maybe have a drink or two, kind of get back into the groove of living and allow your body to prove to you and to itself that it can maintain the current weight and body fat that it's at. And then we go back and we repeat step 2. So then we go into our next cut when we're ready to bring it down even further, all while adjusting the workouts as necessary. After bringing that cut down and getting into the next cut, we go into the next reverse diet after that. Now, not to be confused with bulking and cutting. Those are two similar things, but not quite the same. And that's because if we're just trying to lose weight, and we're not trying to have these really extreme high highs and these really extreme low lows, we're not going to really consider a bulk as much as a reverse diet or a caloric surplus, okay? Because we don't want to kind of get you way back up in weight just to bring you back down. There's an expected a little bit of weight gain before we bring you back down, but not this massive all the way up and all the way down routine. So this is the phases of nutrition, and this should help bring you some more clarity on how it can be done. That's going to give you the confidence to not just take control over your nutrition, but also reach those goals that you're trying to reach through structure, not just through impulse or whim. And if impulse and whim has been why you've struggled or why you've heard other people struggle as much as you have, then I really recommend that you send them our way or you come our way as well. Go to the website, book a 30-minute consultation with me. We'll talk about what your strategic nutrition looks like. We'll talk about what you currently like to eat. We'll also address some of those fears that you have as well around this whole change, because we really want to see you reach the goals you want to reach. So I am here for you, silverbulletfitness.me. Head over to the website, and I can't wait to see you soon.